Hello everyone, today I'm going to be showing you how to make a COVID tracker app using Xcode and using Swift UI. So to start off, we're going to go and open Xcode. This is only available on Apple MacBook devices, so you unfortunately cannot do this on a Windows computer. So let's go ahead, open Xcode. We're going to click create a new Xcode project. We're going to select app because we're using an iOS application, or making an iOS application. Then click next. We'll call this COVID tracker. Make sure that you have your personal team selected. For me, it's my own name, Muslim League, as my personal team. And an organization identifier. This could be anything. This could be your name as well. I have my username here. Interface. Make sure you Swift UI selected, and Swift should be automatically selected. I'm gonna click next. Save it wherever you want. I'm gonna save it in my downloads folder for now. And welcome to the IDE interface. So a few things might pop up. Right side here, you'll have your preview. Since we are developing an iOS application, there will be an iPhone on the right side that you can use as your live editor. So every time you make a change in here, change will show up here automatically. If for some reason you don't see this, you can go up to the Canvas tab right here. You can select Canvas and reselect it to show it. If you want to move this to the bottom, I believe you can just cut that part. So, a little bit more about the IDE. Here is your code editor. Obviously, you can be making changes here. So if we change this like hello video, change will show up on the right side. And yeah, right side is your attributes panel. Here you can change things like the font size. So we can go to a callout font, which goes a little bit smaller here. Let's change it. We can go to something like a title font. Yeah, there you go. It goes bigger. We can change the weight of the font, so we can go bold, and we can change the color of the font as well. Controls you all that. We're gonna restart. So, since we're gonna be making a COVID tracker app, we're gonna have three attributes or three variables to start off. To make those variables, we're gonna make them state variables, meaning we can declare them at the beginning of our code and we can use them anywhere we want. So we can start off with state var, and then we'll come up with a name. So for our instance, we're gonna name it all time cases since we're making a COVID tracker app. And right after this, we'll semicolon, and because this is an integer value, we're gonna declare it as integer and make it equal to 0, since we don't have an API yet. I'll make two more. We'll call it state var, and then last 30 days cases. And we'll also give this an integer value of 0 since we don't have an API. And last but not least, we'll have negative cases. So negative cases and the integer value as 0. We'll add a fourth one later, but for now, we'll work with these three. So to start off, we're going to make our function, which is going to be called refresh data, or we can call it API, but refresh data sounds easier, so we can declare it. We'll have a refresh button that we can use to refresh the API, and basically when you click the refresh, you'll be able to get the most recent values. So we'll add a function called refresh data. Brackets in, and here we can start making our function. So the URL we're going to be using, we're going to declare the URL. So we'll let URL equal, and we'll type in all caps URL, pull up the string, and the one we're going to be using is HTTPS, sorry, you got quotation marks, HTTPS api.covidtracking.com/v1/us, since we're going to be working with the United States, and we'll make it a JSON format. So us/current.json. After this, we're going to make the request, so we'll let request equal a URL request, And since we already have the URL, we can just use that. Or we have to uncapitalize it, sorry. And then we'll create a URL session. Session will let us actually activate the URL, and we can use it across all our code. So we'll do a URL session, and we'll make this shared. Alright, we're going to make the API request. So I'll just add a little comment here to let us know what this is doing. So we'll call it let task, since we're tasking it to get data. Do session dot data task, and with auto completion we already have everything, so we can do that. We'll, instead of URL request, we'll call this with requests, since we have declared it up here. We don't really need the completion handler. Actually, we could get rid of this. Let's not. When you want to use autocomplete, sometimes you don't want to, sometimes you do. So we'll actually just redo this. Data task, and parentheses, we'll add in with a semicolon. Do request. In brackets, we're going to add in our values. So we'll have data, we'll have the response, and we'll have error. And we want to catch errors, so we'll type in. And we'll write out the error. So if let error, because we've already declared error up here, so we're just gonna do if let error equals the error in brackets again. Then move down. We're gonna print the error in our terminal. Error. And since we want the full error, we're going to use localized description, which is a built-in feature with code. We're going to do a /, and in here we're going to type in error.localized description. And that's basically a little bit of the error part. Now we're going to start actually making. Well, actually, we have to add a little bit more errors just in case. We want to catch debugs, anything that happens. We're gonna guard. This will keep it on. Let guard data equals data else. Most of this I'm just copying down from my old code, so you can skip this part if you want to. You don't really need it, but I'm putting here just in case. This is in case the JSON format does not send anything. I think we have an error up here. Let's figure this out. Alright, cut this part. Okay, we're gonna add another one. Actually, we can start making the actual API request. So we're gonna do, and inside the brackets we're gonna let JSON equal, we'll let it try JSON serialization first. And there's gonna be a JSON object with data and options. And these options, we don't have values yet. Actually, I forgot a comma right here. It's very important. Options, and since there's no value, we can use these brackets. We're gonna go down, we're gonna do guard let. I'm gonna call it JSON array equal JSON as question mark. And since we're trying to get strings, we're going to declare that we're attempting to get strings. So we'll add in these two brackets. We'll type in string colon any, since we can pull any string, and we'll let data equal JSON array. JSON array, and we'll add in first, since we want the first available value. And if it's anything else from that, run an error. Sorry, I may have done this wrong. Hold on. Else brackets, and inside we'll print the error. We'll call it invalid data format. Once again, this is old code that I'm using to figure out if we're getting errors, so this is just debug purposes only. And we can close that off with a return. Alright, right inside the do, we can start our data extraction. So we'll start with dispatch queue, which basically, as you can see here, an object that manages the execution of tasks serial or concurrently on your app's main thread or on a background thread. So basically, it'll keep running, it'll keep extracting data. So we'll dispatch queue dot main, since we want the main process, and we'll keep it asynchronously. So async brackets, and we'll start calling the variables from above. So we'll type in all time cases equals data, and this is already pre-built. I have this up right now. So if you want to go to the URL, you can see that there is if you want to go to the URL, you can see that there is multiple data right now. There's negative, there's positive, there's when it was checked, how many hospitalized currently, stuff like that. So we want the positive version, since we want to see how many cases there are. So we're going to go down here, we're going to type in data positive as an integer, which is not set yet. So we'll add in double quotations, quotation marks, or double question marks, sorry. We'll go back to another one, so we'll type in last 30-day cases, data positive increase, because we want how many were, so this API takes from the last 30 days, so positive increase would be 41,835. So we want positive increase, once again as an integer and has not been set a value. And one more time for the negative cases, this should be pretty simple. Data negative as question mark integer not assigned and 0. Now all these have been closed up, so we can go back outside the bracket. And in the case of an error, we can catch this. So we're going to catch the error. going to print the error, and we'll do it on the localized description. Now we have all our backend stuff, so now what we can do is we can start the API request. So right underneath, or not here, we need to go outside the do. So right out here, we're going to start task.resume. Actually, we gotta go do it under here. Sorry, task.resume, which will start the API request itself. Now we do have an error up here. Let's figure out what this is. Okay, so I've made a few adjustments. I was missing an exclamation mark right here, which unwraps the URL. And over here, I had missing a capitalization error for any. This has to be capitalized. So, yeah. And down here, And down here, we can add task resume after everything is declared. There we go. I have to remove it, so there's just one more down. And one more fix, you cannot put task resume on the same line as a bracket, so just bring it down a little bit and you'll be fine. Alright, let's move on to the visual part. So we'll go up here to the vertical stack. We don't really need any of this stuff, so we can remove that. And to start off, we'll add in text. So we're gonna add text. We'll add in all time cases. We'll add a new line so it looks nice. And with that, we'll add our variable, which we have declared up there. All time. Oh wait, I forgot. You have to add another /. So this goes in parentheses, all time cases. There we go. Got it. Okay, so after we've added all of that in, we can start adding more stuff. So I've already added the all-time cases. We can center this with the attributes property on the right side here, and it should center. Right now there's no data, I'm not sure why, but we can fix that later. Let's add more text. This will be our last 30 days. And we'll add a /, and we're gonna add in our variable last 30 days case. And we'll also center this too, so we'll click on the text, come over here to the right side, and align it with the middle. One last time for the negative. Negative cases, and we'll come here and we'll align it with the middle. Now we're gonna go down here, we're gonna make a refresh button. So what the refresh button is gonna do is every time we click it, it's gonna refresh. So we're gonna add in a button and then action, and we'll add and break it inside of this. We'll pull the refresh data function, and we'll make a button text that says refresh. There we go. So we now have our API working and our data is now in. As you can see, all-time cases are at 28,756,489. We can cross-check this with our API. 28,756,489. Last 30 days have been 41,835, and there have been 74,582,825 cases that are negative. So that's basically it. We can make this visually nicer, so we'll add in something called a spacer to the center of everything. It's gonna look weird at first, but you have to add a lot if you want everything spaced out. And what this does is it makes it equal to each other. So there we go, everything is aligned and in the middle, and everything is spaced out equally. So let's click the refresh button one more time, and there we have all our data. We can go here to text, we can make this bold 2 so it looks nicer. Click the refresh one more time, and there is all of our data. Thank you for joining me, and thank you.